Every 6 months, pilots must complete their OPC, Operator Proficiency Check, and every year their LPC, License Proficiency Check, in the simulator, which tests both their manual handling as well as CRM skills in normal and emergency operations, and it's the time of year where I have to complete both of mine. The day started off at home, where I got dressed, packed my bags, and headed to Stansted Airport, where I'll be flying from there to Dublin. Once I had all my stuff packed, put that in the car, and it was a beautiful day here in London. Blue skies all around, and it was just a short walk from the car park to the terminal, passing the ATC tower. Luckily, we had good weather for the walk. Once I arrived, I was there a little bit early, so grabbed myself a coffee from Pret, and also one of those berry yogurts, and I don't know if you guys have tried them, but I am absolutely addicted to them. So Pret, if you want to sponsor me, please do. It would save me a lot of money. Although, because I'm such a genius, forgot to grab a spoon, so had to eat it with a fork. And then I had some extra time, so got my iPad out, and as my sim was actually later that day, my flight was a little bit delayed, so I thought I'd do as much preparation as I can before my sim. But finally, it was time to start boarding, so jumped on the flight, which is one of the big perks about being a pilot, jump seating across the network, absolutely amazing. And then it was just a short flight over from London to Dublin. However, the weather in Dublin, not quite as good as in London, unfortunately. From the airport, it was a quick shuttle to the hotel room, although I wouldn't be staying for long, as I mentioned, my simulator was just later that day. A quick walk to the room, which was absolutely lovely room. Love staying in this hotel, which is the standard crew hotel where we all stay whenever we have our simulators, so I know it very well. Decided to get into something more comfortable for the simulator, however, and this was definitely much more comfortable than the uniform, although a little bit creased from being packed in my bag. With a little bit of extra time, checked out the drawers, found some coffee, so of course made myself a coffee, and also some cartoned water, which was a new one for me, although I decided to take some with me, and just a little bit of last minute preparation with a coffee, carton of water, and a couple biscuits. Jumped in the Uber, and it was just a short drive from the hotel to the training centre where I'd be conducting the simulator. There I met my other pilots, my captain for the day, as well as the check guy, who are all very friendly. Headed up towards the simulator, and of course there was someone else in there, and as you can see the simulator moving around, and that was them doing their check actually. But then it was our turn, so I headed in the simulator. Unfortunately too busy to be recording this part, but very standard simulator. This was just the training day, however, for this first day. My actual test would be the following day, so just the training day today, and I'll let you know how that all goes. So guys, after what has been such a hectic day, I can't even believe it, Sim 1 is finally done. I feel like I haven't even had the chance to really sit down and chat to you yet. Sim's been going good, nothing really too big to debrief on the first training sim, which is really good. Got a really late sim tomorrow for the actual exam itself, for the license skill test. So just got back to the hotel room not too long ago, about 10:30 p.m. now. Gonna go get some sleep, probably have a bit of a lie-in tomorrow. Go get some breakfast in the morning. Obviously there's a buffet, so how can I say no to that? So now it's time for me to go get some sleep. I'll give you a full debrief of how the sim went tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. So after a nice long, well-deserved lie-in, decided to get up and just catch the last breakfast orders. So headed down, grabbed myself a standard English breakfast with a pain au chocolat. Who could say no to that? So guys, back in the hotel room now, back from breakfast, stole some fruit, which I'm going to have later out of the day. Yesterday was such a crazy day, so busy, from getting up really early to getting stuck in 2 hours of traffic to get to the airport, and then my flight being delayed, just all these little things adding on. But luckily, got to the sim centre in time, a little bit of a rush in the hotel room. All went fine and managed to make it to the sim centre okay. But the sim itself actually went okay. Obviously passed the training session, so a few debrief points, but nothing really major, just a couple little picky things to look out for next time for the exam today. But that exam is not till like 9 p.m. in the evening. Like briefing then, and then sim starts at 10, finishes 2 a.m. in the morning. It's going to be a very late one, that's for sure. Should be all okay, fingers crossed. I'm going to spend the majority of today revising. That's going to be my main focus. Focus on the revision, should all go okay. Fingers crossed, with some good revision, I don't see why not. Speaking about yesterday, so the sim itself started off with me as pilot monitoring, being the first officer, with a captain, of course, who's also doing their sim check. So we did some low visibility procedures, de-icing stuff, looking at our winter operations. Then some rejected takeoffs, standard ECAM actions, if you know what those are for any Airbus pilots out there. And then just a few different approaches, ILSs, go-arounds, VOR approaches, circling approaches, a few of them for the captain. My turn to fly. Again, looking at a bit of my winter operations now as pilot flying. And then I actually had a wind shear on my takeoff, so I had to deal with that. And then had a flight control lock as we tried to retract the flaps. That was interesting. And so I just had to deal with that. We do all the ECAM actions. Then I make the decision to come back to the airport that we originally took off from. We go through all the steps, and then we do a flap 2 landing, which is obviously, you never do it. It's just, if you have a flight control lock, if the flaps get locked, then you don't really have a choice. It's what you have to land with. So that's always an interesting one, because your approach speed is an extra 15 knots on top of what it normally would be with flap 3. So that's a serious increase. I think our V approach was 150 knots or something, and that's with no headwind at all taken into account. By the time you added the wind on it, it was very high, the V approach, let's put it like that. But that was all fine. Then we did some upper air work, stalls, steep turns, speeding up, slowing down. Believe it or not, we still have to do that stuff even as airline pilots. It's not just part of the training that you do at the beginning of your flight school. You also carry that stuff off onto the airlines. Again, stalling in those things in an Airbus with all its protections is pretty rare. But as we know from accidents like Air France, not impossible. So it's really important to know how to recover from those things. And then gave me the chance to do a 3D VOR approach, and then I finished off by doing a raw data ILS, which was obviously really good fun, and finally some takeover training, where the captain steps out and the instructor steps in and basically just becomes the worst captain in the world, just flares super high, doesn't flare at all. The one that really caught me off guard was because sometimes they just do a normal one just to throw you off, and they want to see if you're going to take over when there's no problems at all. So I thought that scenario was coming. He lands the plane, I think, oh, it's all brilliant, no problem. But he didn't let go of the back stick, and he just kept pulling back, and we ended up tail striking. I was like, I was not ready for that. And he was like, yeah, I mean, these things don't really happen, but you got to be ready there on the side stick. So it's good to see those things on the line. Very unlikely, but now I've seen it in a sim, I can always anticipate it should I ever see it coming. But again, pretty unlikely. It would be a big surprise if that ever happens in my career, where the captain just doesn't let go of the side stick. But that was pretty much the sim. It was about 4.5 hours long, I want to say. I think we finished a little bit early, so 4.5 hours. Pretty long time either way. Headed back to the hotel, and that's where we are now. But as I mentioned to you guys, plan for today, smash out the books, get some revision done. So that will be the plan. I'll see you guys later. So before I cracked on with the revision, decided to watch some YouTube golf. As anyone who knows me will know, I'm a huge golf fan. But then decided to crack on with the revision. That was the bulk of my day, really revising hard for this sim. But with all the revision, with all the going over the different procedures that I knew I'd be tested on during the simulator assessment, I was feeling quite confident, feeling good about the sim, and that was down to the thorough preparation that I had the day before. But then it was time to go and get some lunch, although ridiculously windy outside, and came back to the fire alarm going off, and that's always fun. Grabbed another one of those yogurts, which I really like. Not as good as the Pret one, so Pret, you know, if you've got that sponsorship, I'll take it. But then after a bit more revision, it was time to head down to the simulator, feeling good for it as well. But overall, it went pretty decent. Headed back, absolutely relieved, and it was time for bed. Come on. So guys, that is my line check completed. I'm very tired. It's very late. I'll see you in the morning. So guys, it's now the next morning. I'm soon about to head off to the airport. It's currently 9:37. Flight's at 11:45. Should have more than enough time to get there. Quickly record this. Get there to the airport. Go to security. Get to the gate. The airport's not too far away, so it should all be okay. But sim yesterday, all completed. All went well. Pretty much what I was expecting. You know, when it comes to these LPCs, there is a sort of certain criteria. You have to do a couple little different things thrown in there every time just to keep your knowledge updated on different failures and procedures. But generally, you're going to get the standard stuff. Low visibility operations, rejected takeoff, auto landings, go-arounds, precision and non-precision approaches, 3D, 2D approaches, all of those stuff. One engine failure, of course, engine failures after takeoff, the big one. A lot of that, and one engine ILSs, raw data, manual thrust, all that good stuff. But to be honest, it went all okay. No real dramas, not much to debrief, got it signed off all on the license, so Sim went really well. Wish I can show you more of these sims, but for obvious reasons, you know, doing it for the company, and you can't really show that sort of stuff when you're at work. So it'll be annoying. I love to show it to you, but hopefully one day I can work out a way of doing it. But for now, these little debriefs will have to do. So plan now, gonna head off to the airport, have breakfast this morning, standard hotel breakfast. But yeah, gonna head off to the airport now. I'll see you there. So after my final night in the hotel, it was time to check out, head to the airport and catch my same flight home to Stansted. Jump seating again, which is always a huge perk of the job, and even got a front row seat so I was able to stretch my legs. Then back into Stansted into the very familiar staff car park, and it was time to head home. So guys, thank you so much for watching what has been a pretty intense couple days for me, but if you did enjoy this video, make sure you check out this video here. It's a week in the life of an airline pilot. I really think you guys will enjoy it. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.